Okay guys, so I just wanted to go over the quiz and kind of really break things down. I know some of you have been voicing concerns that you're not getting step 1, you're not getting step 2. So the first two out of these 5 problems, I'm just going to break it down step by step by step and explain exactly what it is that we're doing. That way you can just follow along and do it yourself. For those of you that feel like they haven't been getting this, or they feel like they've watched the videos, you literally have to go through the Nearpods, guys. You can't just watch the video once and be like, oh, I got it. You got to go through the Nearpods. You have to do the practice work. You have to do all the stuff. So if you're not doing that and you're wondering why you're not getting it, it's probably because you're just trying to cheat it or go through it quickly without really processing what's going on, and you need to be able to process what's going on. So you have to go through these. Probably need to watch these videos as I go through them too, to confirm what you're doing and why you're doing it, and just get that language built into your head. You can't just learn something from seeing it once. It's not how it works. It's practice and time, practice and time, practice and time. So with that being said, your first problem today should have looked somewhat familiar to you because I did it in my note one already, but I'm going to do it again now. So it's negative 4x minus 2y equals negative 12. And we have 4x plus 8y equals negative 24. Okay? Now step 1 is always scale and eliminate. But you only need to scale if it doesn't eliminate. What you're looking at and what we're talking about with elimination is two variables that have opposite numbers touching them. So like here, negative 4 and positive 4 are opposites of one another. Okay, so there's no need to scale because I already have a situation where they are opposites. So in this case, there's going to be no scaling that takes place, and I'm just going to eliminate my x's because one's a negative 4, one's a positive 4. Those are opposites. So I delete it or eliminate it. Okay, now that's step 1. Okay. Step 2 is simply combining the equation. So I put a plus sign because when I combine something, I add them together. If I'm combining sugar and cinnamon, I don't do anything tricky with it. I just put the amount of sugar I need and then the amount of cinnamon I need. It's like making cookies. You combine all the ingredients, you add all the ingredients together. So now when I take negative 4x and a positive 4x, that's 0x, so there is no x anymore. So I do the same thing. I go negative 2 plus 8y to get 6y. And I get negative 12 plus a negative 24 to leave me with negative 36. Okay? Now, I've combined, but now I'm in a situation where I can solve for this y. So I'm just going to, when I always solve stuff. I'm going to divide both sides by 6 there, because now y is going to be by itself. And I get y is equal to negative 6. So those are my first steps. Okay, my first step was I found my term that I could eliminate. Okay, there was no need to scale. And then I combined, and then I solved. Okay, my final step is just plug it back into an equation. So let's look at this equation here. The 4x plus 8y equals negative 24. Okay, if I'm looking at that equation, I'm going to take this y value and I'm going to plug it in right here for that y value. So I'm going to go 4x plus 8 parentheses negative 6 equals negative 24. Okay? And then I'm just going to do what I've been doing with substitution. I'm going to distribute, I'm going to combine, I'm going to isolate, and then I'm going to solve. So when I distribute my 8 into that parentheses. I have 4x minus 48, because 8 times negative 6 is a negative 48, equals negative 24. Then I'm going to isolate, because I'm going to move that to the other side. This goes away, and I'm left with 4x equals a positive 24. Okay? Then the last thing I need to do is solve. That goes away, and I know that x equals positive 6. So my answer would be x equals 6, y equals negative 6. And as a coordinate set, it looks like that. And I'd be finished. Okay? So that was the first problem I asked you to do today. Okay, from step 1 into step 2 into step 3 into the final steps to get my answer. Okay, let's look at it now again. except we'll do problem 2 this time. And again, I'm really going to break down the steps and stop at each one. But for the final 3 today, guys, I'm just going to talk through them real quick as I solve them right through. So the last 3 are going to go fast. This one's going to go a little slow. So I have my second problem was 4x plus 8y equals 20. And negative 4x plus 2y equals negative 30. Okay? So step 1 is I need to find one of the variables to eliminate. In this case, these two are opposites, so it's probably going to be the one I want to use. But 8 and 2y, while I could scale it to eliminate it, there's no point because these ones are already opposites of one another. So that's what I'm going to use. So I'm going to eliminate them because they're opposites. Positive 4 and negative 4 are opposites, so they eliminate. Okay? So step 2 is combined. So I'm going to combine my 2 equations. That goes away. 8 plus 2y is 10y. And 20 minus 30 is negative 10. Okay? Now that I've combined, I'm going to solve. That goes away, and I have y equals negative 1. So I looked in step 1, found my variables that cancel or eliminate, didn't have to scale, so I just eliminated them. In step 2, I combined my equations, then I solved to get y equals negative 1. Now I just need to plug it back into one of these. I'm going to choose the bottom equation again, even though it doesn't matter which one I do. Okay? And I'm going to take my y equals negative 1 and plug negative 1 in for that y. So negative 4x plus 2 parentheses negative 1 equals negative 30. Okay? Then I'm left with negative 4x minus 2 equals negative 30 after I distribute it in. Then I'm just going to isolate by going plus 2 plus 2. Negative 2 plus 2 is 0, so that goes away, and I'm left with negative 4x on this side. And negative 30 plus 2 is negative 28. So all I have left to do is divide. Negative 4 divided by negative 4. That cancels, so now I have x equals 7. So I have x equals 7. And as a coordinate set, I'd write it like this. Okay? So that was the second problem on your quiz. Again, step 1, I found my variable to eliminate. Okay, I'm just looking for opposites. In this case, 4 and negative 4 are opposites, so they can eliminate. 2 is the combining of the 2 equations, so I just add a plus sign, and then I just add straight down. So 8y plus 2y was 10y. 20 plus negative 30 is negative 10. And then I just went and solved from there. And plug back in, just like we've been doing in substitution mode. Okay? So I'm going to clear this and do these final 3 problems for you guys. I'm going to try to do them pretty quickly and just talk through my thinking as I do it. Okay, so for 3, I'm going to be at x minus y equals 11 and 2x plus y equals 19. So I look at these and I'm going to see that my negative y and my positive y are opposites, so I know that those eliminate. So now I can combine my equations. 1x plus 2x is 3x, and 11 plus 19 is 30. Then I'm just going to solve from here for x, which gives me x equals 10. Now I'm going to come back here and just choose one of my equations. For whatever reason, I always like choosing the bottom one, but it doesn't matter which one. They're going to end the same anyways. So I'm going to take this x value and plug it into that x. 2 parentheses 10 plus y equals 19. 2 times 10 is 20 plus y equals 19. I'm going to move my 20 so I can isolate my y. That goes away, and I'm left with y equals negative 1. So my answer is x equals 10, y equals negative 1. And as a coordinate, it looks like that. Okay? For the final one, right? Nope, that's the third one. For the second to last one, I'm just going to work through it again. Here we go. Okay, I have, in this case, number 4 was negative 6x plus 5y equals 1. And I had positive 6x plus 4y equals negative 10. Again, I'm looking at which ones to see which one I can eliminate. In this case, negative 6 and positive 6 are opposites, so they eliminate. So now I move on to step 2, which is combined. 5y's and plus 4y's equals 9y. And 1 minus 10, or 1 plus negative 10, equals negative 9. Now from there, I'm just going to solve. Divide by 9, divide by 9. That goes away. And I have y equals negative 1. This time, let's just choose the top one since I haven't used it yet. Just to prove that it works the same regardless. I'm going to take this y value and plug it in here. So I have negative 6x plus 5 times negative 1 equals 1. I'm going to distribute, so now I have negative 6x minus 5 equals 1. I'm going to move my 5 so I can isolate my x. That cancels. Now I have negative 6x equals 6. I'm going to divide both sides by negative 6. And I get x equals negative 1, which means as a coordinate set it'd look like this. Okay? Again, find a term to eliminate. Don't have to scale if they naturally eliminate. Combine my equations, solve, and then plug it back in to get the other variable. Last but not least, the final problem you guys had on your quiz today was this guy. Whoops. Number 5. Whoops. Turn it that way. Negative 2x minus 9y equals negative 25. And we had negative 4x minus 9y equals negative 23. Okay? Now, when I'm looking at these, none of these cancel by themselves. None of these are opposites of one another. So I either have to choose my x's to isolate or my y's. I'm going to choose my x's just because it's easy for me to get this negative 2 to turn into a positive 4, so it's the opposite of this negative 4. And to do that, I just multiply everything by negative 2. Okay? So I'm going to distribute that in, and then I'm going to rewrite this now that I've scaled it to go negative 2 times negative 2 is a positive 4x. Negative 2 times negative 9 is a positive 18y. And negative 2 times negative 25 is a positive 50. Okay, so I scaled my equation by doubling everything or multiplying everything by negative 2. Now remember, from Monday's video, that doesn't change the answer to my variable. It just changes the scale that I'm dealing with, which is nice. Allows me to manipulate stuff. So now I'm going to take this equation and move it down here. Negative 4x minus 9y equals negative 23. These guys eliminate, so now I can move on to step 2 and combine. 18 minus 9 is positive 9y equals 50 minus 23 is 27. And from there, I just divide to get my y value, which in this case is a positive 3. Okay, now from here, what I'm going to do is just plug that in. Let's take the bottom equation, negative 4x minus 9y equals negative 23, and plug that 3 in for my y value. That becomes negative 4x minus 27 equals negative 23. Going to add 27 to both sides. Left with negative 4x equals 4. Divide both sides by 4 and I get x is equal to 1. And if I wrote that as a coordinate, it would look like that. And I got it. Okay? That's what you had to deal with on your quiz. Again, like I said, I hope I broke that down for you. We will be doing a Facebook Live tomorrow at 11 if you can make it. If you can't make that and you have additional questions, just please shoot me an email. We'll try to find some other way that I can answer some questions for you, or shoot me your questions directly. Maybe I can help you that way. However, that's what I got for you. Okay, so try to make the Facebook Live session tomorrow if you can. If you can't make that, shoot me an email. We'll try to find another way for me to help you out. And again, the quiz on Friday will have 3 questions that will look very similar. In fact, one of the 3 questions will be an identical one to one of the ones I just did up here today. So hopefully you're taking good notes and keeping your notes, because they'll help you on your final quiz on Friday. Again, have a good day, guys.